How's it going, guys? It's Josh here. First of all, thank you so much. You guys are absolutely smashing it with like the subs and likes and everything. I can't believe it. It was only like a week or so ago that we had 250 subs. Now we're nearly at 300. Yeah, absolutely insane. So thank you so much, guys. Keep it up. Okay, so today's video we're going to be talking about an RGB mechanical gaming keyboard. Does that sound familiar? Well, it should do, because a few months ago I did a review of a cheap mechanical RGB keyboard and it proved to be very popular indeed. So thanks for that. But today's video we're going to kind of be doing the contrast of that. It's more of a high-end, kind of expensive RGB mechanical keyboard today, the Corsair Strafe RGB. So yeah, it's going to be good. Shout out to my mate Joe for letting me borrow this, for reviewing it. So yeah, you're awesome, Joe. Thank you. And I hope you like it. Roll the tape. This is the Corsair Strafe RGB, and if you're looking for a high-end mechanical gaming keyboard with RGB lighting, then this may be the keyboard for you. The Strafe RGB can be purchased with a variety of different switches, including Cherry MX Blue, Brown, Red and also Silent. The model I have right here uses the Cherry MX Silent switches, more on that later. So what's in the box? We get some extra custom FPS keycaps with key puller, a detachable palm rest, a user manual and a warranty info leaflet, and not to mention the keyboard itself. Let's talk about build quality. It's pretty much an all black matte plastic construction, however it is quite heavy considering coming in at 1.27 kilograms. It definitely still feels like a premium product though, it doesn't feel flimsy in any way really. One thing that we don't see on this keyboard is a braided cable, but this doesn't bother me too much. The thing that does bother me, however, is the size of the cable. It's absolutely huge. Granted, it is carrying two USB cables, but if you're running this thing across your desk, it's going to look pretty chunky. The looks of this keyboard are quite aggressive. The font and styling definitely scream gaming keyboard to me. If you're looking at buying this keyboard, let's face it, you're probably going to be using it for gaming, so this shouldn't come as any surprise really. We also have Corsair written above the number pad in a metallic colour and a very sneakily hidden logo in the top left corner above the escape key, which is clearly visible when the LEDs are illuminating it but totally invisible when they are not. You can change the colour of this through the software. I really like the overall style. To me it looks classy and I think they've done a super good job here. Let's talk briefly about features. Now, as we mentioned earlier, this keyboard does have two USB cables inside that chunky single cable. One is for the keyboard itself and the other a USB pass-through. The pass-through slot can be found on the back of this keyboard and is neatly tucked away. Although I don't like the thickness this adds to the cable, it is a useful feature to have, and I must give compliments to Corsair for the quality of their USB connectors. They feel extremely solid and well built. The keyboard also has full RGB lighting, which is controlled by Corsair's utility engine software. We'll take a look at this in depth later. We also get anti-ghost and 104 key rollover. For a quick comparison, the Razer Black Widow Chroma has only 10 key rollover, so this is pretty impressive. As mentioned earlier, we do also get textured FPS keycaps included with this keyboard, which give more grip for competitive gamers, and I do like that they have included these for no extra charge. However, for the price tag you kind of expect this. Finally, we get an awesome dedicated Windows lock button in the top right corner. I don't have this on my current personal keyboard, and I must say it's really nice to have. If, for example, you're playing a game and you don't want to risk nudging the Windows key or accidentally alt-tabbing and ruining your game, it does become very useful. By default, it lights up red when the keyboard is in normal use and turns blue when the Windows lock is engaged. These colours can be changed within the software. Let's move on to the switches now. Now, as I said earlier, the Corsair Strafe RGB has four options when it comes to switches: Cherry MX Blue, Brown, Red and Silent. Everyone has a different favourite when it comes to switches, and my personal favourite are Cherry MX Blues. They're very loud and clicky, and to me they just feel satisfying to type on. The Cherry MX Silent switches found on this particular keyboard, however, contain the world's first fully integrated noise reduction technology for gaming key switches, and I must say it really does work. I'll give you a type-in sound test now. As you can hear or not hear, they're very quiet indeed. We do still get a rather satisfying click from the spacebar, but overall you shouldn't really have any issues annoying anyone in the room below. If you're wondering about the feel, these switches are essentially Cherry MX Reds but a lot quieter. Although I usually go for clicky MX Blue switches, after using this keyboard the silent switches are really starting to grow on me. Typing feels incredibly easy as they don't require much force at all to register a key press, and in general they just feel nice to use. The spacebar is also textured, which gives some nice extra grip, and it gives a unique look compared to the rest of the keys. The detachable palm rest we get is also textured, and it's nice that we get this included with the keyboard. While holding it in your hand it feels very plasticky and flimsy, but as soon as it's on the keyboard it looks and feels just fine. The mechanism for attaching and detaching it is pretty much just a pair of clips, so it's easy enough to put on if you're in a hurry. Finally then, let's talk about what you've all been waiting for, the RGB lighting. Now for me, RGB lighting is just essential on a gaming keyboard. Why? Well, for the simple reason it just looks awesome. It does happen to be quite useful for separating parts of the keyboard for playing games. Backlighting itself now is pretty much essential anyway, as a lot of people tend to game in low light environments, and RGB lighting is just a nice luxury to have. I like the fact that Corsair have also added a white base to the underneath of the keys. This helps reflect the light from the LEDs more so that they appear brighter and more saturated. Now the Strafe RGB is probably the best keyboard you can buy in terms of RGB lighting functionality. It's extremely versatile and fun to play with. If you want bold and insane light shows from your keyboard, this thing can do it, but if you wanted to go for a more subtle, relaxing style of lighting, it'll cater for you too. This thing even has side lighting and it looks really slick. The lighting is controlled from a piece of software, Corsair's Utility Engine, and you can download it from Corsair's website. Now one problem I did bump into during the initial setup was getting the software to detect the keyboard. The instructions do say to plug the keyboard into a USB 2 slot. I initially had it in a USB 3 slot, but this didn't seem to work, so just bear that in mind. Corsair's Utility Engine is the same piece of software used to control all of their new peripherals, including the MM800 mouse mat, Scimitar mouse and Void headphones. It does seem very polished overall. If you're just wanting to play about with some of the basic effects, make sure the software is not set to advanced mode, as this can be quite a learning curve. In basic mode it's quite easy to use. If we select lighting effects, we can choose from a selection of presets via a drop down menu, such as Spiral Rainbow, Rainbow Wave, Visor and Rain. They're all very smooth and most of them have what I can only describe as a faded trail, so the visor effect for example sort of fades out each key as it moves rather than just turning it off, which makes it look really smooth and effective. There are also effects that respond to typing, and even ones that link up to your MM800 mouse mat or your Void headset microphone. And that's just the basic mode. In advanced mode we can literally customize the colour of every key, even creating brand new complex effects which you can then share via Corsair's RGB share after you've saved it as a profile. Seriously, you need to check out RGB share. They're all free to download and some of the effects are absolutely insane. I've literally never seen a gaming keyboard with this much control over lighting. If we head on over to the performance tab, we can even change the colours of the lock key indicator. Here we can also change which key combinations are disabled when the lock key is engaged. Just next to the lock key we do also have a brightness button, which is handy for quickly changing the brightness of the LEDs. It has 4 levels of brightness: off, low, medium and high, so you'll find one that suits you. You can also change the colour of the brightness button. Corsair's Utility Engine software also features an Actions tab, and here you can set up macros. I don't really use macros much, but it's certainly an essential feature for some gamers. I do like the software itself, however I will mention that once or twice, separate to what I mentioned earlier, it has failed to detect my keyboard when I turn on my PC. My keyboard was connected into a USB 2 port this time as instructed, so I'm not sure what happened there. To fix it I had to unplug the keyboard and plug it back in again. I had a search online and discovered that quite a few people have had the same issue. There doesn't seem to be a specific fix apart from updating to the latest software version which I was already on. Unplugging the keyboard and plugging it back in again sorts it out, and granted it was only a few isolated incidents, but you wouldn't expect any connection problems from a gaming keyboard of this price. However, to be fair, software has always been updated and USB ports can sometimes be very glitchy, so definitely I wouldn't let it put you off buying this keyboard. So what's the verdict on this thing? Well, it's around £120 depending on where you get it from. so it's definitely right up there at the high end of the market when it comes to gaming keyboards. Like I said, I'm not so keen on the thick cable, the palm rest does feel a little bit flimsy, and I did personally experience some problems with the keyboard being detected by the software on startup. However, taking a step back, overall this keyboard really is nothing short of incredible. I love the looks and styling, the switches feel great, and the RGB lighting just seems to be unmatched in terms of features and customization. Corsair really do know what they're doing when it comes to making gaming keyboards, and it shows in the Corsair Strafe RGB. And there it is. Like I say, really awesome keyboard. Really enjoyed using it. Actually very tempted to get one myself now as well. Thank you so much for watching today, guys. Do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sweet if you could leave a like rating. It really helps me out. And leave some comments as well, because it's really cool interacting with you guys. I can answer your questions if you have any as well. So yeah, one other thing. We still need to do a 250 sub special. So if you have any ideas, drop them in the comments. I don't know, we could do like a Q&A or something. Like that, yeah, give me some ideas. I've dropped the Amazon links in the description for this keyboard that you saw in the video today, and yeah, so thanks again guys, and I will see you in the next video.